Hi, my name is Luke. Welcome back to another video on this channel. In this video, we're going to create a trailing stop that is based on the envelopes indicator, specifically for short positions only. Let's get straight into it. So first, please click on the IDE icon at the top of your chart. This will open the MetaEditor. Then click New, Expert Advisor from Template. And now we need to give this file a name. I will call mine envelopes trailing stop for cells only, but you may call yours whatever you wish. Once you have named the file, click Next, Next, and Finish. Let's delete everything above the onTick function. I will keep the properties at the top, but you may delete them or add your own copyright details. It's up to you. Also, let's remove the 2 comment lines from the onTick function, and I also like to rearrange my curly brackets. So first we include the trade/trade.mqh file. This will allow us to open and close trades. Then we also add the ctrade class, and we will call it trade. Inside of the onTick function, we start with a static variable. This is a double variable for the last value of the stop loss, and we will call it last stop envelopes value. This will hold the last stop loss value for each time that we call the function. We also need to calculate the ask and bid price. We will use normalized double, symbol info double. We provide the current chart symbol and then symbol ask, and also then underscore digits, as we want to make sure that we automatically calculate the right number of digits behind the decimal point. We do the same for the bid price. We can just copy and paste it and swap ask to bid. Now to test the trailing stop, we need to open a test position. So first we want to check if positions total is below 1. If this is true, we want to reset the last value for the stop loss and set it to 0. And then we use trade.sell to sell 0.1 lots. Now you wouldn't want to do this on a live account, so we will test it on a demo account, and this is what demo accounts are essentially good for. Now we need to create 2 arrays, one for the upper band array and one for the lower band array. We then use array setters series for both arrays so that we sort them from the current candle downwards. Now we can use the included function iEnvelopes for the current symbol on the chart and then the currently selected period on the chart. We want to calculate the envelopes indicator for the last 14 candles. We don't want to use a shift value, so we set this to 0. Then we want to use mode SMA, which stands for simple moving average. We want the result to be calculated based on the close price. And then for the deviation, we will use the default value of 0.100. We can then choose an empty chart, click on Insert, Indicators, Trend, and Envelopes. This will load the indicator onto the chart. You will see the period and the deviation values here. Click OK, and then right click on the chart. Scroll down to templates, click save template, and then save it as tester.tpl. You can override the current one. It can be changed back later on. It's pretty simple. And this indicator will now show on this chart when we start the strategy tester. So now in the MetaEditor, we need to next use the CopyBuffer function to copy the data according to the envelopes definition that we have just created. We use buffer 0, we use the current candle, which is index 0, and we want to copy the values of the last 3 candles and then store them in our array. Then we do the same for buffer 1. So we use the CopyBuffer function to copy data for the envelopes definition that we created. We use buffer 1, we use the current candle, which is index 0, and we want to copy the value of the last 3 candles and then store them in our array. Now we need to get the upper band value, so we will use normalized double, our upper band array at index 0, and then 6 to make sure that the value is using 6 digits behind the decimal point. We then do the same for the lower band value. Now we want to get the last upper band value and the last lower band value. And then 6 to make sure that the value is using 6 digits behind the decimal point. Now we can call a custom function called check envelopes cell trailing stop, and we pass the last upper band value as a parameter. This function obviously doesn't exist yet, so we need to create it in a minute, but first we need to quickly assign the last upper band value to the last stop envelopes value, because we will need that the next time that we call the function. Now let's actually create the check envelopes sell trailing stop function. We will use the last upper band value as a parameter, and this will be a double. The data type is of void because we don't actually return any values. We will use a for loop to go through all the open positions. And we use position get symbol for the current counter value to get the position symbol. Because we only want to continue if the current symbol on the chart and the position symbol are equal. And if this is true, we use position get integer and use position underscore ticket to get the current position ticket number. And with position get double, position underscore stop loss, we get the current stop loss for the current position. And now we want to check if the current stop loss for this position is bigger than the last upper band value, or if the current stop loss is 0. If either of these are true, then we use trade.positionModify for the current position ticket, and we adjust the stop loss value to the last upper band value. Then for the TP, we can leave this unchanged. And finally, we need to just close the loops and the function, and that's about it. We can now click on compile, there shouldn't be any errors. And we can now go back to MetaTrader. So in MetaTrader, we want to click on View, scroll down to Strategy Tester, then we select the file that we have just created, make sure visualization mode is enabled and press Start. Now we can see that the sell trailing stop is working and it follows the blue band as it moves down. So the expert advisor is working as expected. And you have learned how to create a sell trailing stop for the envelopes indicator with just a few lines of MQL5 code. I just want to point out again that you wouldn't use this on a real live account. It was just to show you different ways of using a stop loss for your own expert advisors. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.